All right, welcome back, adventurers. This episode is a nice trick, something to help us out. Now, this is a fighter. Now, currently I have a little bit of fatigue going, but even without the fatigue, she's only got a 14 strength and a 13 dex. That is awful. And a con is 19, way higher than it needs to be. And no wisdom, so she's constantly getting hit with crowd control spells. And what is this? 15 freaking charisma. This is absolutely useless. Yeah, okay, I get it. It makes sense for story purposes. But don't worry, the picture still looks cute if we get rid of the charisma. So, we're going to do a respec today. And you're also going to look over here. You see Amiri normally only has a 16 strength as a barbarian. Like, who decided that was a good idea? And honestly, the way she acts in the game, how does she have that high of a charisma? Or intelligence, for that matter. So we're going to fix this problem, and we're going to fix it right. So how in the world are we going to do that? Some people suggest you go through and you mess with an editor. So they would go through, they would navigate into a secret hidey place here. Now I'll show you how we got into it. So they would go into your user, into yourself, and they're going to look for app data. Now by default, this will be invisible. So you're going to go up to view, you're going to hit hidden items, and you're going to see that once I've done that, there it is, app data. So we're going to open that up. You're going to go into local low. Then you're going to look for Owlcat Games, Pathfinder Kingmaker, and then you're going to save games. We'll talk a little bit about this folder up here later. That's another mod I found. Now in here, you're going to get all your save files. And these are this weird file type ZKS. So we're going to go ahead and right click it. I've got this example down here for us to mess with. I would recommend that you make a copy and store it safely over in another folder. That way, if you mess this one up, you can always revert. So now we'll go back. We're going to right click here and we're going to open it up with 7-zip or whatever compression software you have on your computer. We're going to go over to Open Archive, and that's going to open this little window up over here. There's a bunch of files. The one we're primarily going to be interested in are these two here, Party and Player. And what you're going to do is you're going to drag it out. Now, the way you would typically do it, so you'd go into the party, right-click it, and I would edit it with Notepad++. And you're going to get this gibberish-filled JSON file. And it is absolutely massive, and it's hard to navigate. I like to plug in JS Tool, and once you have that installed for Notepad++, you can do this JS format, and boom. If you're a coder, this makes a lot of sense. Well, not entirely. A lot of these things in here are just a bunch of gibberish. You'll see that they use blueprints. They're labeled like that with values that don't really make sense to an average person. And there's no idea of what any of this stuff means unless you can find a reference somewhere online. And there's literally thousands, tens of thousands of lines of code. And you have to make sure everything is exactly right. So that's super painful. I was doing this earlier. I managed to get some saves where I did in fact get the characters to reset. I tricked them into thinking they were mercenary characters and then told them to rebuild. And you can do it, but you lose a lot of stuff. Like the portraits disappear, the character model gets screwed up. All around, it's not a great way of doing it because it's just too error prone. So instead what I've done is I've gone online and I've found this mod called Respecialization. Super easy. And this mod is going to allow us to go through the game and have a little editor, pay 1,000 gold, and you just get to rebuild the character from scratch. Easy, awesome, amazing. Okay, so what do you need? Well, this gives you some instructions on how to install. We'll walk through it real quick though. You're going to download and install Unity Mod Manager, and that can be found here. Once you get this downloaded, you're going to get a zip file. You're going to extract that, and you're going to run the Unity Mod Manager exe. Then it's going to try to auto-detect your game. Depending on how your computer's set up, it may or may not succeed. In my case, it did not succeed. So I had to find the path for it manually. And in my case, my game was stored at this path. So I went into my drive, went into my Steam library, Steam apps, common, Pathfinder Kingmaker. And once I click there, this program will install, and you'll see that I have a folder here called Unity Mod Manager now. So once that's in, you can launch it, and it will look like the following. Boom. And we're going to make sure that we have this set. So Pathfinder Kingmaker is one of the ones you want to grab out of the dropdown. And like I said, this is where you'll set the path. If it didn't automatically find it, you're going to navigate through, click it, say that's where you want it, and it'll connect up. So now that we got that in place, we go over here and we will now extract our Respec mod into the folder with Kingmaker. And in particular, we want to dump it into the mods folder. So you'll see the mods folder is here, and you can see that I've dropped it right in there. So once that's all in play, you're going to get into your game. And when you launch it, you're going to see this mod manager window is going to pop up. Now I don't touch anything at this point. I let the game load in, do its thing. If you have other mods, you'll see them pop up in here. At this point in this video, you can see the version numbers we have available. Today is October 22nd, it looks like. All right, so everything launched correctly and it is looking good. So we'll go and close this window. We'll go to our load game like normal. We'll find our example or the save file that you're interested in. Just go ahead and load it up. And now that we're in, you can now press Control F10. And that's going to bring up your mod manager in the game. You're going to click Respecialization, that's the mod we're using. And you're going to get some options. So you're going to have light mode, full mode, add 25 points, or transform spells into scrolls. Now, full mode, I believe, is going to refund all the points that are normally invested in a character. And I've discovered so far that certain characters are built with different point totals. Valerie, for instance, has 27 points for some reason, so more than normal. And Amiri has 20, so less than typical. Amiri is equal to what a mercenary would be, but less than the player character. If you'd like to keep the Valerie character and Amiri and whoever else you're modding equal to what they normally are, just do full mode. If you want to make sure that they have at least 25 points, click the add 25 points. And I don't know what this transform spells into scrolls does yet, but I'll experiment with that at some point. And then you're going to see 1,000 gold is what is required to these modifications. Now, if you don't have 1,000 gold, and I can imagine many people won't, there's a handy dandy way to cheat. We're going to go back over here. We're going to do the same thing we talked about before, where we right click it, open it up with 7-zip, go into our player this time, so player.json, drag it out of the archive, and then we're going to go in, we're going to edit with Notepad again. And all you got to do, even if you don't have it formatted, is go all the way to the right where we were talking about before with money. And right now, currently have 2,029. So we're going to go crazy with it. We're going to say we have however much that is. And you're going to make sure you save. You're going to close this up. And then you're going to drag the player.json back into the archive. It's going to ask you if you want to replace it. You're going to say yes. And then like I said before, make sure you close the archive back down. Otherwise, you'll get an error. Then you go back in your game. I'm going to guess we're going to have to do a reload. So that probably won't take effect until I do. All right. And there it is. You can see our gold is massively boosted up. Okay. So what's that going to allow us to do? Well, we're going to hit Control F10. We're going to get into our Respecialization mod. We're going to say full mode, and we're going to respec Valerie. Boom. Done and done. So this doesn't look like Valerie, and that's a problem, right? Well, just scroll down over here. You're going to see Valerie's picture. Go and click it up, and boom, we're good to go. Now, this is pretty sweet because you can change everything. You don't have to be a human. You can be a gnome. You can be a half-orc, Asmar, whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and keep her human. You can mess around with her build over here, make her look however you like. If you want her to look kind of like she does normally, just go to, which one is it? Hairstyle 6, and I believe it's this color here matches her hair that you normally have. And then you can go with whatever class you want. And if you'd like to see what I decided to do with my characters, Valerie and Amiri, go ahead and click on this link up at the top you'll see popping in with a little eye there, and that'll take you to the builds and leveling up that I'm doing in my personal hard game. So other than that, thank you so much for coming. I hope this was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time when I have some more tips.